SteelSeries, if you happen to be watching this video, this is where your company belongs. What's up, Agents? Zero here, and welcome back to yet another vlog style video. And today I'm going to be continuing my discussion in regards to SteelSeries. Now, some of you may be aware that a couple of weeks ago I did a video in regards to my issues regarding SteelSeries as a company. I'm not going to go over the entire thing. If you guys want to go ahead and check out that other video, then I'll make sure I have it linked down in the description. But I will at least briefly mention what ended up happening. So my SteelSeries XL ended up having problems a number of different times. More often than not, it was the exact same issue. I ended up getting a replacement. The replacement actually had the exact same issue as before, and then they effectively told me that they could not replace it due to warranty being expired, and at the same time, the product in particular was completely gone, and I had my suspicions that this definitely was way more than it was. And I actually found out after doing some research recently that it does not just simply apply to my SteelSeries XL. In fact, there are a number of people online actually complaining about the absolute horrible quality of not only their products, but their customer service. I want to go ahead and bring this to light. Now, I realize that the title and thumbnail say SteelSeries is actually lying, and technically speaking, I am correct. It isn't like necessarily clickbait, although you can judge it how you want. But I want to go ahead and discuss what I ended up finding. So the first thing in regard to this is that I actually sent a complaint to the SteelSeries subreddit, where people will be able to discuss things about how they feel about the SteelSeries, or really anything in general, because that's what Reddit's for. But I actually ended up getting a reply from someone saying that they had an experience with SteelSeries with their headsets. Now, I'm not like super familiar with headsets in particular. I don't really use them all that often. But what they actually ended up saying is that they had two headsets, both of which were around 300 pounds, I think is what it said. I'm not like super familiar with what like different countries' currencies are, but I will go and say that that's how much it technically cost, if I remember correctly. And what actually ended up happening to these two very particular headsets, I don't remember what models they are, by the way, they actually had an issue where the headband actually ended up snapping. And the first one that they had, it snapped after 2 years of use, and the first one snapped after 1 year of use. This is just what I read. It could be like longer or shorter. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what they said. And again, I'm not like super familiar with this kind of stuff, so I want to believe that more often than not, the wiring inside of the actual like speakers for the headsets themselves would go out before the headband. But again, I'm not an expert. You'd think that because you're supposed to like put them on constantly, that's not an issue that you would end up having, but apparently that is what actually did end up happening. I actually ended up reading a lot about like people having issues with SteelSeries mice. And yes, just to clarify, they make a ton of different like gaming peripherals, if that wasn't necessarily clear. So they actually had issues with mice. They actually like fall apart within like 1 month is actually the quickest that I actually saw searching online. It fell apart in like 1 month. I didn't actually look at it like completely. It was actually technically a video. I didn't watch it, but it said 1 month, and I'm just gonna take it at that. And I actually read somewhere regarding like instead of like repairing it, there was like glue on it instead. I don't remember the full context of it, but that's definitely not good. And then this is like the absolute worst of all of it. Like, they have these issues where they get the RMA, which is the return submission process that you go through to get a replacement. And this is actually something I did not mention in my previous video because I didn't want to discuss it. However, I've been seeing a lot of people actually discussing their bad experiences in this particular situation, so I'm going ahead and explain it right now. So when my Stratus XL ended up having issues, the most recent time, in fact, what I mean is when I actually got replaced, the most recent, which I can't get replaced anymore, unfortunately, they told me that due to their new RMA guidelines, what you need to do is actually damage it yourself, actually destroy it yourself in order for you to go ahead and get replaced, because what you end up doing is you do that, you take a picture, you send it to them, they take a look at, they assess like, okay, this person has this kind of issue, and if I remember correctly, I'm like not remembering this like fully, but I think they said something about like something legal in regards to this. I'm not 100% sure. I could be completely wrong. But that's what I remember, and I personally told them that I was not willing to go through that because even though technically speaking it was still somewhat usable, I didn't want to give it up, but unfortunately I had to give it up regardless. So, yeah, and there have been a lot of people that have been having issues with that, and I've actually heard that some people actually end up getting screwed over to the point where they got completely ignored. I mean, I actually remember having a somewhat similar issue because I complained about this one in particular, saying that I believe that there was a manufacturing defect. I was specifically told that they would look into it. A month later, I actually had to ask them about that, and they said, "We're sorry, we cannot replace it." Like, what the heck? You're completely ignoring the fact that I stated that I thought there was a defect with this. And instead you're just going straight into, we can't do anything about this? Really? Why? Alright, so I've kind of like rambled on enough about like complaints that not only I've had but other people have had, but I'm not actually done with this video just yet because I actually need some help from you guys in this particular regard. I realize that I discussed a lot about people complaining online about this in particular, and that may more than likely be enough, but apparently, according to what I'm reading, it definitely isn't. So this is where I need you guys' help. So obviously, I am not really necessarily a huge YouTuber by any means. I don't have like a huge following. I don't have a huge influence. So I would like to ask you guys to try to help me spread the word about this whole situation, because admittedly, they are lying about their products. They're saying that they are good products. In fact, let me go ahead and say how good they think their products are. They are sponsoring esports. That's how good that they think their products are, but customers are obviously saying otherwise. So I want to believe that they're effectively like lying about this whole situation, like I said at the start. So I want you guys to kind of like spread the word about this, send this to like people who have like some sort of like online influence to go ahead and discuss this, like maybe like news reports for gaming stuff. I personally am going to be doing the exact same thing. By the time this video is released, I've already tweeted out to two people in particular, technically speaking, two accounts in particular. RGT85, otherwise known as Sean Long on Twitter, that's what his handle technically is, and also GameRanks. Both of these are YouTube channels that basically discuss mostly gaming news. They do sometimes do reviews, both of them technically speaking, but I'm going to be letting them know about this whole situation. I ask you guys to do pretty much the same thing. And SteelSeries, if you happen to be watching this video, this is where your company belongs, because this is absolutely ridiculous. You have no right to be selling people this bad of products and giving them that bad of customer service. That is completely unacceptable. And if that actually does not end up happening, then you are lucky that you are still in business after this whole ordeal goes down. That's barring that this whole ordeal goes down, because that is very bad. I realize that's kind of like blatant, but I imagine that other people watching get that point. So yeah, guys, please help me spread the word about this whole situation, because this is, I don't even know what to say about this, and that controller is actually staying there right now, which means the Minecraft videos are going to be gone for like, I don't know how long, unfortunately, but I can't deal with this any longer. This is just absolutely horrible. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end things off. I really don't have like a positive note to end on this, because this, I really can't give a positive note about this. So I'm going to see you guys later. I'm going to see what comes out of this, and other than that, Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with SteelSeries. I said that in the last video, but I'm like legitimately done. More done than I was before. I can't handle this.